Well, cool. Well, it's great to meet you, and I want to begin our conversation. We're literally coming up on the 4-year anniversary of this pandemic we all went through. How did you get through the pandemic, and how did it change you?
See, I mean, okay, the first few days uh were rough because there was so much uncertainty. But then for me, it really became a great opportunity for the business I had back then to find new opportunities and with what was going on. And it kind of um, showed my character again because that's what I do in life. I see opportunity mostly when other people put their heads in the sand. And so for me, this was an opportunity. And at the end, it turned out I almost quadrupled my business from what it was before because for me, it was a time of change and of opportunity that presented themselves during that time of change. And so I remember just before that I was ready to put my company on the market, and then that didn't happen. At first I was bummed out because I was ready to move on. But then it turned out for me it was a great gift to have that time with my company and restructure and find new opportunities and build it bigger. And then I sold it last year. And it was for me, it worked out. And for me personally too, I just spent a lot of time either working or working out. And um, it was funny afterwards, like a good afterwards once the gyms opened back up again and you started communicating with people again. People were like, oh, you're so lucky, you had the time to work out, and you're so lucky you were doing well. And I don't accept that. It has nothing to do with luck. It's about our mindset and what we do with opportunities, with challenges that present themselves to us. And I worked super hard. I worked super, super hard to restructure and keep the business going and then restructure and build on what was going on. And to me, it has nothing to do with luck, nothing at all.
So let's get to the essence of what you do for, I mean, as an entrepreneur, an author, speaker, philanthropist. But if I put you in front of a group of third graders and it's career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
Well, first of all, I follow my heart. That's what I've done all my life. I follow my heart, and I'm also always curious to see what's going on and why things are going on the way they are going on, and where there is opportunity to um, make this world a little bit of a better place than we found it. And I get great pleasure out of that. I bite my teeth into things where people say, that's crazy, you can't do that. And I have fun with that. And that's really my advice to anybody. Um, and same with my kids. Like, that's what I tell my kids. I don't care what you do, as long as you have fun and you follow your heart and it makes you happy, do that. Um, that's pretty much it.
So let me ask you this. How did we get here? Take me back to where you were born and raised and how you became an entrepreneur and so highly driven and helping people figure out their paths in life. How did all of this happen?
So I'm originally from Germany. I left Germany when I was 17 on my own. I went to Canada to learn English for a year, and then I decided to stay. And my parents pretty much said, This is too expensive. We can't afford this. We have to come back. We have, more kids who also want to have that opportunity." And I said, "Nope, I'm not coming back." And I was on my own. And then I got a couple of scholarships, and that tied me over. And then by the time I was 19, I um, I was homeless. I was homeless in Toronto, and I started my first business on a park bench. And then, like 6 months later, it was $1 million company, and I helped finance my brothers, and they came over to Canada. And yeah, that's where my entrepreneurial spirits kind of originated. And then I went to university in Canada, which was a Harvard affiliate. I did my MBA and um, graduated and realized I didn't want to take a job. I wanted to continue doing what I was doing. And so I continued growing my company in Canada and then expanded into the US and eventually moved to Los Angeles to run the business from there. And then I had a multitude of different businesses. I became a mom of twins, took off a couple of years for that. And then, yeah, went on like this until last year. And I got bored again. The company got too big. I get bored when it's too big. And it's just, I basically just become like manage the day to day. I don't like that. And I sold the company again. And my kids both graduated from high school, they're twins. And then I was like, and now what? The house is empty. What am I going to do? And I hit a little bit of a crisis. And then my daughter advised me and said, Mom, you're free. The world's your oyster now. Go explore. And so within 6 months, exactly 6 months, I sold the company at the end of June. Within on December 31st, I was on a plane from Los Angeles to Munich with two suitcases. I'd sold everything I owned except two suitcases. And I'm now in the German Alps and exploring the things that I really, really love to do. And I'm kind of, it's different now. It's different. I was always very, very driven and I think fear driven originally because, I was living on a park bench and I had to provide for myself. And then um, now it's all joy driven. I have the freedom to do whatever I want and not do it and do it whenever I want. And now really my greatest bliss and joy now is to write and to share the things that I have learned along the way and the things that have helped me to get through some major struggles and how it worked for me and why it worked for me and to pass that on to other people. So I do that with writing. I wrote my first book last year. I'm working on my second book right now. I have a podcast and I coach people, but very limited because I really enjoy my freedom now of just exploring and being and traveling in Europe. And yeah, I have fun with all of that.
Isn't it amazing how things come full circle? I mean, it's like uh,
Yes.
it's weird because my stepdaughter was asking me, she just turned 18 in November, and we were waiting in line for something called the Time Traveler. It was a roller coaster.
Uh-huh.
And I just turned 51, and she was like, "What have you learned?" Something along those lines. And I said, "Whatever you do in life, at some point or another, you're going to have to reckon with it. You're going to have to come, it's going to come back around." And just like with your story, coming back to your home country, just all of these things seem like it just you came back stronger, you realized your dreams, and now you can do what you want. You put the hard work in, and now you can kind of do what you want to do.
Right. And it's really feels like in a much bigger picture, a sense of coming home, like you said, full circle, but it's really coming home to myself. And I still, even though I've been here now for a little bit over 2 months, I can still get very emotional about that because I feel like I have seen so much and I have been through so much. And I now can look at all of these things as great gifts that have made me so much stronger every single step of the way and have brought me home, like truly home. And now it's really about, okay, what are you becoming? It's not about achieving anymore. It's not about how much money can you make, how big can that company get? Like none of that is relevant anymore because I really feel like once you've reached a certain level, like if you want more after that, it's really just ego. But for me at this point, it's like, okay, I'm taken care of, I'm provided for. Now what is it going to be? What is it going to be for me? Like, what am I becoming now? Because achieving is not relevant anymore. And it's not satisfying either. I
Yeah.
realized that a couple years ago when I realized I had checked all the boxes. I'm like, this is all I wanted to do. And I'm here, I've arrived, and I feel no different. And now what? Like,
Yeah.
where am I going to go from here? I fell into this huge depression of like, oh my God, I did it all, like everything I wanted achieved, and I feel no different. So what's next? And that's when I originally decided I need to sell the company. I need to get out of here. I need
Yeah.
to get out of this hamster wheel of like okay, bigger, bigger, better, more. I don't want any of that. And in the last, like 4 or 5 months, when I then decided to sell it all and give it all away, and it was a lot of work getting rid of a whole life of like 35, 6 years, whatever it was, of everything that you accumulate and say, you have 2 suitcases to pack your entire life into. What is it going to be?
Yeah.
And that was hard. It was hard detaching, but it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting in a place, it's fully furnished. I really only need my 2 suitcases, and I'm very, very mindful of not buying crap.
Yeah.
I don't need crap.
Yeah.
I don't
I
need it
get it.
anymore.
I get it.
I,
Totally do. So
right?
let me ask you this. Who's been a hero for you? Who's been an inspiration for you in your life and all of these things that you've done?
It was never really anybody. Not really.
Yeah.
No, not really. Um, I feel like I was too busy, just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and the thing is, for me, what I learned is that our superpower and what I really tuned into was my feelings.
Yeah.
My feelings of, okay, and a lot of people ask me that over the years. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I started bodybuilding, and people and I would get up 4:30 every morning, be in the gym by 5, work out 3 hours, sometimes twice a day. And people look at me and say, "Oh, where do you get all the discipline from?" And I said, it's not discipline, it's motivation. And my motivation comes from my feelings. How do I feel after my workout? And I have mornings where I don't feel like getting up and I don't feel like going. And I tune into, but it's going to feel so good on that leg press, or it's going to feel so good after my workout. That's what I want. And I
Yeah.
go for that. And I think it was the same with anything I did. Like I I remember being really young, and sitting in the back of my parents' car on a road trip. And I would just sit there and close my eyes and think about what my life would look like. And like I always knew I wanted to have a business. And I remember my father always telling me, "You're a daydreamer, stop daydreaming, start doing something real. Go study, study." And very German. And but today I know that tuning into those feelings of like the vision of the vibes of what it will feel like, that was really my superpower. And that's what inspired and motivated me throughout the years to get even through the really hard parts.
So if you can meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Um, I don't know. I've never even really thought about that.
Okay. That's fine. So let me ask you this. If you could go back in time and see one event in human history with your own eyes, take a time machine somewhere, where are you going to go? What would you love to have seen with your own eyes?
I feel a really strong connection to the medieval times, and I'm not exactly sure why.
Yeah.
Um, but I would love to go back to that and
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. So of all of these things that you've done and accomplished and overcome, what are you the proudest of?
I think there's two things. The first one was when I was so super young to leave on my own and um, really, like with nothing, started something. Because I look now at my kids that are 20 and I'm like, oh, like I want to mother them, like I, I, I think, oh my God, when they were 17, I was like, that was me. That is insane. This could have gone so wrong.
Yeah.
Like I have never touched drugs in my life, like because I was always so focused and like on what it is that I wanted to achieve, that I never did any of that stuff. But it could have happened, like people do crazier things than that. And when you're homeless, like all kinds of bad things can happen. Like this could have gone so wrong. And to think that, no, You were so young to make it through that and come out like that on the other end. That's wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
lucky. Well, not lucky, but yeah.
Sure. So what's the best advice, some of the best advice that you've ever gotten that you still resonates with you today?
There's no shortcuts. There's so many programs online, and I have fallen for some of those where they're like, oh, we can help you get clients, or we can help you grow your business, or do marketing, online marketing, or social media, whatever. Um, there is no shortcut. The road to success is a long and a hard one. And anybody who is really truly successful will tell you that too. There is no shortcut. So don't get sucked into um like, yeah, I can make this happen for you overnight. It doesn't. Success doesn't happen like that. And the other thing related to that is I remember when I started my that last business and I was looking to get more exposure online. And the best advice I got back then was somebody said to me, imagine yourself sitting at a table with one other person, and these are your clients, and treat those people the way you want to be treated. And imagine every day sitting at that table with one person after another. And that's how you're going to build your business.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And yeah, it worked because my heart and soul was in it. And I treated people the way I wanted to be treated. And people recognized that. And it, yeah, it
So,
worked.
you know, so with the whole notion of being full circle and really finding the essence of why you're here, do you feel like there's a level of you that's arrived, or do you still have more to go to get to that point?
I think there's always more to go.
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
think that's really exciting. I think I have, in a way, like definitely geographically and stuff, I have come home, but I don't even know if this is it, like if this is my destination. Like I think it is a journey and there's more to come. And I am more excited than ever to see what's next.
Yeah.
Like, especially recently, if I feel like I told somebody the other day, I said, it feels like when you're a kid and you have no sense of time and you know Christmas is about to come and you're like, oh my God, it's just before Christmas every single day for me. That's what it feels like. I get out in the morning, I'm like, yes, okay,
Yeah.
what is it going to be today? And because I feel like I'm so open to receiving, I know, and there's no push and pull for any of it, and everything that I do is so heart and soul involved. I know there's more things coming for me, and I don't know what it is, and it doesn't really matter. It's not relevant. I just know it's really exciting and soulful for me.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, your readers, everybody, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think people think of me as like a very alpha and very strong, but really deep down inside, I'm not. I'm not. I am much softer and um loving, and I'm still that little girl. I feel like that little girl that left when she was 17.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So if anyone wants to get your book, listen to your podcast, reach out, learn more about you, anything about your world, what's the good business?
So I have a website called the powerlifecoach.com, and on there you find all the information. My book is on there. I'm on Amazon. It actually became a bestseller. It's called The Love Odyssey. It's about relationships and communication. And then yeah, there's also the access to the podcast where I really share a lot of stories of my life and the challenges and how I overcame them and the messages that I have for people. Um, and yeah. That's really my main. I mean, there's social media, but all of that is on my website, thepowerlifecoach.com.
Okay, excellent. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. What a great story. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you, Joe. I appreciate you. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely. And I want